All right. We're here.
Yes, we are.
Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Divishri Joshi. I'm a security engineer at Uber. I work in incident response, forensics. Currently, I'm on the application security team. I work with both internal and external researcher reports. We make sure that we look at the vulnerabilities, triage them, validate them, fix them so we can keep Uber safe and secure.
And how did you get into cyber?
So that's a very interesting story. I was working on my bachelor's project and we had an elective around cybersecurity, and that was the time that cybersecurity was not really available as a master's or a bachelor's program. So I got really interested in it and I decided that I wanted to do my master's in cybersecurity. And much against everyone, it was like, you won't get a job there. Why don't you become a software engineer? And I decided to follow my passion, and that's how I'm in cybersecurity.
It's awesome.
How about you?
Go. Whoever wants to go. Kristin Demoranville. I work for Sony. I'm the industrial cybersecurity manager. So that means I handle all the manufacturing security and I help to guide the strategy and generally trying to bring everybody into awareness of that we need to protect our manufacturing sites since it's sort of this old school vibe meets new school. And I love it because it's getting to work with people that have been doing the same job for 40 years and then trying to help them come into a new light and then change perspectives. So it's a lot of fun. And I got into cybersecurity by accident. I was working in infrastructure for 20 years and I kind of plateaued. And I had a really great mentor come alongside me and said, hey, you really should get into security. You'd be really good at it, all this stuff. And I declined him almost 4 times. And the 4th time I'd accepted the job he was offering me. And then I kind of just crashed through the rabbit hole after that. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So my name is Keirsten Brazier. I'm a lead security engineer at Entergy. It's a Fortune 500 power utility company operating in Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Texas. My primary responsibilities are designing, implementing, and managing the monitoring solutions for the environment. So my core responsibility is protecting the critical infrastructure of the United States of America.
No pressure.
No pressure there. How did I get into cybersecurity? By brute force, by necessity, and by doing the things that no one else wanted to do. In our industry, we have a lot of type A personalities who don't like to do documentation. They don't like to communicate with auditors. They don't like to communicate at all. They just like to play in their tools. And so I did the work that other people would not do. And sometimes it was because I wanted to do it, and other times because I was forced to and I didn't have a choice.
I respect that. That's how I got into IT.
Yes, and so I ended up getting my master's degree in cybersecurity. I have certifications as well, but getting a master's degree was not a requirement. It was just something that I felt like I had to do because otherwise I wouldn't be taken seriously. Mm-hmm. And then now there's this interesting paradigm happening on InfoSec Twitter where they're saying that they don't respect people that have master's degrees. So that's a very interesting conundrum we find ourselves in as well.
Yep.
But I don't regret getting my degree, and I will tell people any day to absolutely pursue whatever educational opportunities you feel will benefit your own career.
I have the opposite problem where I have a degree that isn't in cybersecurity. I have a degree in environmental management, and people are like, what? Why? And I said, because I wanted to get something different. I wanted to expand my skill set because I wanted to do different things, but it actually worked out really well because I touched a lot of environmental systems working in industry. So it's pretty cool how it sort of all works out. Like you followed your passion and you did what you wanted to do and you followed yours. So it led you to where you wanted to be.
Yes.
I just felt like doing what I wanted, and that's how that worked too.
Yes, and my undergrad degree is in business management, and that's something that has benefited me tremendously. What a lot of people don't realize is that security is a business issue, and so being able to understand how what I do ties into the business and being able to align what we do to the business has helped me to be successful in my career as well.
That's really cool. Yeah, because it's so hard to tie that sometimes, and people they're far from the product or the business itself. They don't get that vibe. And so to be able to do that is huge, especially for women.
Yes.
Because it's a power skill, right?
Yes, it's a power skill.
To be able to do that, it's a power skill. So, and I love that. And I think that we do it very naturally because we can see that community around us and how it all intersects and interacts.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the power skills are really important, and don't take me wrong, I do think that technical skills, and I'm not an advocate of go get a master's degree or anything of that sort. As long as you have a way of developing the technical skills, whether it's incident response, forensics, threat intelligence, network security, understanding all of the security verticals is really, really important.
Yes.
It's also important to apply all of them in offensive and defensive contexts and understand that you can be the defender, you can be the attacker, and understand both mindsets.
Yes.
I definitely agree that the power skills is what changes the game, though. You have to come in with like a proactive approach. You have to come in with like a problem-solving mindset, being able to solve all these complex issues that we're going to face every day.
Yeah.
And that's important. I feel like that is something that is very understated, and not everyone puts enough focus on development of those power skills.
Or just confidence, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, cybersecurity is really hard to have confidence in as a woman sometimes, because you sometimes just feel like nobody's listening to you. And that's why we as a woman, community have to come together and really be that, hey, you're doing the right thing, you're cool, everything's good, try harder, don't worry, it's all right. I think we need that more, than a lot of other people do. And I'm glad that we have a lot of groups that do that for us. I mean, we're sitting right here at an event that does that.
Yeah.
I mean, I just met both of you today, and I already feel like I could call you if I had a problem. So, and that carries into the power skills too, the power of community. We need that, and that's so important moving forward, especially as things are going to get crazier, I'm sure, in our industries.
Yes, especially for those of us who are in critical infrastructure. And to your point about why we don't emphasize enough about developing those skills, I think it's because historically the people that have dominated the industry made it soft skills, and so it was something that was devalued. But we let it be known today, we have labeled it. It is now, going forward, we're going to call it power skills, because that is the only way that not only can you solve the most difficult problems in the industry, but it's the only way you can move your career forward. Mm-hmm. If you only have the technical skills to run your firewall, or if you only have the technical skills to run your vulnerability scanner, if you only have the technical skills to code and not do anything else, then that's all you're ever going to be able to do. Yep. Right? And I think we all find that out, especially when you're having to work on teams. We all have to work on teams, and so we don't get to work in a vacuum. And one of the things I think it has been a problem is that the media portrays what we do as people that you're a lone person sitting in a dark room
with a hoodie.
With a hoodie,
oh, yeah.
and
or
you're just working by yourself.
CSI Cyber.
Right,
yeah.
CSI
yeah.
Cyber,
which
all
makes
of
it sexy, which we appreciate, but
right.
it's really not like that.
Right,
Not
no.
at all like
you
that.
work on teams, and you have to talk to people, and you have to communicate with people, and you have to persuade people, and you have to influence people, and so having those power skills is very important. And I think we are in a position to make sure that we're communicating that and making sure that when we hear people devaluing those skills, that we have to speak up and say, hey, no, those are skills that are really, really needed, and they're important, and they're just as valuable, if not more valuable, since those are the skills that take you up the ladder. Those skills are actually probably more valuable than the technical skills at this point.
And be able to communicate with the business. They don't speak our language. We don't necessarily speak their language. We've got to find that middle ground. So those power skills are so important, because you can't walk into a board and be like, technical blah, blah, blah. They're going to be like, what?
Right.
So you have to be able to be like, look, pretty colors, this is what this means, and have a nice day.
Yes, yes.
So I think that is huge, really huge, moving forward. So it's great.
Yes.
And then also helping people coming up behind us, the women especially coming up behind us, to learn it's okay. You can excel and be a rock star with teamwork and everything else, and that actually is going to push you further. So I love that.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I'm on more of the technical operational side day to day, and I personally find that you have to come in with the confidence. You have to come in with like having your own voicing. If you find that in a stressful incident, like there's going to be times that you're going to be in long running investigations or intrusions on multiple services. You're going to definitely have to work, like we said, on a diverse team. And it's stressful. Nobody wants to work long weekends. Nobody wants to work holidays. Nobody wants to work long hours. And everyone's going to be unhappy or frustrated at some point of time. And the emotional awareness, and I would call it like the most important power skill to have, is that everyone's going through the stress. It's not just you. And it's necessary to dissociate those emotions from actually the job at hand and focus on the job, and make sure that maybe like do simple things like rotate your responders during the incident, incident, if they're stressed out, take small breaks and identify that someone's stressed and just give them a break and understand the intent behind all of that frustration that's going on. Because at the end, it's all the efforts to secure your company and to do your job at the very best that you can.
I find that just saying thank you and being appreciative to any of the teams that are in operations is so huge. Even if you aren't directly in operations, I sit close to our SOC, and I always, I'm talking to the girls when we're standing in the kitchen area, and they're, de-stressing by talking to me, of course. And I always say, I think it's really cool what you do. Like, that's awesome. I hope you feel good about that. And you could see it on their face. They actually needed to hear that.
Because they don't hear it.
And they never hear it. And that's the thing, is I want to be like that, ray of sunshine, if you will. I think that's so important. And also for the people that aren't in operations, also reminding them that they're important because they have a role to play.
Completely agree. My favorite anecdote is if you're in operations or blue teaming, you're almost like Batman. Nobody's really gonna hear what you're doing, the efforts that you're gonna put. Nobody's gonna know your name and the effort and how many hours and the effort that you put in behind that incident. But that is what we require from management. That acknowledgement, that appreciation, it takes you miles. And that is something that I feel is lacking. That will help people handle stress better. That'll help people go up in their job ladder. It'll make them feel very much valued.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that full-heartedly. Yeah.
Yes. We definitely need to feel valued as we fight these battles because it can be exhausting. And it makes it even worse when you don't feel like you have that support. And so I think to you guys, to your ladies, to your point about making sure that you're taking the time to acknowledge people, because I know I don't hear it from anybody.
I appreciate you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
I appreciate both of you.
Yes.
I think it's important for us to say it even though we're not in the same company, because we do appreciate each other because we're women and we're making strides in this.
Yes.
And I think we need to say it to each other.
I agree.
And I think going back to your original point to Twitter, we're not appreciating that community. We are all very shameful and silly half the time. And I think that we need to come back to that and say, hey, I appreciate what you're doing, and a lot of this is just you venting your frustration out.
Yes.
And I think we need to really make sure we start doing that as a community, is being appreciative of each other, because we never share information anyway, so we need to start doing that too. But that's a whole other topic.
Yes, I completely agree. Being appreciative not only of someone who's technically awesome and was able to create this cool new tool, or was able to attribute this new incident or write this new exploit or vulnerability and maybe hack the planet even. That's important, but even the small acknowledgements you did your job really well, or you did amazing in this stressful situation. These are things that we really require in the InfoSec Twitter community, uplifting each other rather than pulling each other down, or uplifting in certain situations and not in others. And I feel a lot of people really need to hear that and be appreciated in a more community-wide environment.
And we can lead the change on that, right?
Absolutely.
I'm sitting listening to you, both of you, and I'm thinking about the last time I told a stranger on Twitter, hey, you're doing a great job. And it doesn't take anything for me to do that.
Or just like those posts, right? Because occasionally you do see them. I love it when people are shouting out I passed a cert, I got a new job, I read a book. I don't care what it is.
Right.
I love that in our community.
I survived the week.
Yeah, just hit that like button, and that actually means a lot to someone. I know it's an anonymous thing, but we need to start sending out likes every day.
I agree.
Not just online, but at work and even in passing. Because you have to be an advocate for what you're doing, and that starts with being appreciative of what you have around you.
Absolutely.
So yeah.